Assalamualaikum and good morning to the honorable panelists, a brilliant guest, fellow students and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to this prestigious panel discussion about the online study as a main medium in educational purpose in era of COVID-19. Before we start our presentation with the brilliant panelists, allow me to introduce the panelists first. Our first panelist is Miss Suhaila, who is very beautiful today with a nice fashion. She will be explained about this topic as a parent to their kids. Next, second panelist is Miss Afika, who is a very smart and very brave person. She also holds the position as a lecturer. Third panelist is Muhammad Adli, who is a student at College Matrikulasi Pahang. He also is a student of Hope at his college. And the last one, the most famous and the most feared by many, Miss Alia Shakira. She is a competent Minister of Education and carries out her duty with full trust and full of dedication. Thank you to all panelists on the enlightenment given just now. Now, we moving on the last part of this panel discussion. I would like to ask a minor question to the all panelists. So the main issue that should really brought up is here. Does online studies really be helping students with their studies, or is it making it worse? I really like to ask this to our panelists. So what's your opinion about this statement? We start with first panelist, Ms. Suhaila, to give the explanation about this topic.
Nowadays, this many issue online studies has become a conversation among of the people in the local community. Virtual classroom come with some unique logistics and challenges which request parents and guardians of young children to let the pay for their children. Here have some way how parents support their children in an online classroom and help them achieve success in their academic journey. First, check requirement for online class. Parents, be sure that your children has access to the material and supplies the children will need for his virtual class. Next, set up a study place such as find a good desk or table and chair. Children should be comfortable. Ensure a study area should not to be dark or too bright. Dark rooms put a strain on their eyes. With the benefits of online studies, of course, come some cons. If an online program is more independent, you need to schedule time to have it. Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you to Ms. Suhaila with a nice opinion that she gave to us. Now, we move to the second panelist, Ms. Afika, to brief the information about this topic.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning I bid to all of you. As our country faces a lot of changes and challenges during this COVID-19, there are so many people who are affected, especially the students. But without us even realizing, the teachers are also one of those who get burdened and carry such great responsibilities to ensure the students' academic are not neglected. Me, as a teacher in this 21st century, need to prepare myself to face this difficult wave whether we like it or not. During this pandemic, surely it will be more challenging for us, educators, to teach the students through some sort of new ways during this movement control order phase, since we have been instructed to work from home. I know that there are lots of struggles that students have stated or issued on social media platforms. I have read them all complaining about this and that, but little did they know how struggle we are in finding ways to attract them via this new norms learning. Since the learning sessions are all through online, teachers need to explore on their own regarding all the methods which been introduced as a medium for online learning and teaching. Some of the teachers are old-fashioned. There are lack of skills in internet access. Therefore, they need to learn and explore by themselves in order to be able to access those sophisticated platforms and tools. Through this online learning, teachers need to step up their working ethics to ensure that the students understand what has been taught and are still on track. On top of that, the tests and exams are also need to be done online. These tests and exams are highly depending on their honesty. We know some of them tend to cheat while answering the exams. So, when the results came out, we do not know whether their results are totally based on their abilities, which totally point out by their own ideas or not. Some of the parents will blame the teachers when their children's performance drop. But without them knowing, there are students who intentionally miss the classes. They even did not join the Google Meet, and some of them slept while the teacher was teaching. There are certain students who consider this online learning is only for submission in a way for them to submit their assignments, tutorial, and so on. We, as an educator, feel very frustrated and disappointed to be accepting this sort of news. We put so much effort for them to make sure they are still on track, but they took us for granted, and as a result, the feedback given by them went the other way around instead. But we know some of them do understand and appreciate our efforts. They often reach upon us, the teachers, to ask questions via several platforms such as WhatsApp and Telegram. In conclusion, online learning is highly depending on students' effort. No one can be great or good except through the inward efforts of themselves. Last but not least, shout out to all the rockstar schools, colleges, and universities for being such an amazing instructors to all young generations in our country.
Thank you to Miss Afika for the great opinion. Now we're moving on to the third panelist, Adli. How about your opinion? How you can elaborate this statement to the audience? Can you give information or give explanation to them?
Hi and Assalamualaikum. Thank you to the moderator for letting a time to let me speak out my opinion about this topic regarding on the main business here, which is online studies. So I am representing all of my friends as a student. Now first of all, the reason to all of this is because of the pandemic COVID-19. If COVID-19 didn't exist, we wouldn't face this situation, as the students would have been sitting in classes learning on what we should. So second of all, online studies is basically where you sit in front of your laptops or phones from the AM to the PM, hearing on what the teachers or lecturers are speaking, and eventually you have a body ache. You learn something new in the morning, and then there comes a new assignment or task. And there's also a due date, so by hook or by crook, you have to do it for the sake of exam grades. And then this repeats day by day until you have a break off, which is your sem break. This new norm is a bit different from being in face-to-face classes. Imagine you're in a situation which you're in a class, and then you couldn't understand what you learned. You can always raise your hands and ask for help. But in this new norm, you have to personally message your lecturer through WhatsApps or whatsoever to ask something and wait for the lecturer to reply. There's a lot of things that students have to adapt with. So speaking about online studies, the disadvantages of it is internet connection. The main thing when you join online studies is that you have to have a stable internet connection. Sometimes it ruins the moods when you have the spirit to study, but then the internet isn't cooperating and making us, the students, couldn't know what the lecturers are telling. There are also people out there who had to search for a good spot so that their internet connection is stable. Second of all is lack of understanding. In my opinion, it is more harder for us to understand a new lesson through online classes rather than actual classes. It's way more easier when you're sitting in actual classes, and plus you could see the teacher in front. So basically that is two different things between face-to-face classes and online classes. Furthermore, there's also the good side of joining online classes, which is it is more affordable compared to when you're in college or any educational institute. You obviously have to buy an internet access to work with the online classes compared to when you're in college or something where you have to pay for the fee for food and beverages. Plus you don't need a laptop to operate your Google Meet or whatsoever. You can always use your phones to access the online classes. Next is you can learn something based on your own pace. The closest example that I could give is myself. Sometimes I couldn't catch up with things that I couldn't understand. By online learning, I could always browse through the study materials such as videos, podcasts, and written materials. By adapting this way, I could really slowly catch up with all the subjects. But after all, after thinking all of this, I think that online study isn't that bad. I mean, like, I'm not the only one who faces this. I'm not the only one who has to face my laptop 24/7. Perhaps there's people out there that couldn't even afford internet access. We are in this together. You are the one that makes the decision whether you want to study or not. So in a nutshell, I really do think that online study isn't that bad. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you to Adli. Now we are in the last part of this panel discussion, and I would like to hear the opinion about this statement from the last panelist, Miss Alia Shakira, as a Minister Education from 2018 to 2020. How about your opinion about this statement?
Greetings and a very good morning to the moderators, bright panel of educators, loyal teammates, and everyone in the room. To start the ball rolling, focusing on the pros is we can introduce sophisticated learning technology to Malaysian students. Like nowadays, we have Google Meet, Google Classroom, Teams, and Worklet. At the same time, be able to open students' eyes who are not proficient in technology about the importance of technology in this era of globalization. My next point is it can also reduce the cost of expenses for the transfer of students abroad. Next, can increase intellectual class in Malaysia is also one of my contents. In 2017, our country had trouble to recruiting IT experts and causes the country to hire workers from abroad. If our country has a lot of intellectual class, we can afford to be like Japan, which is famous as a modern country in terms of technology. Priorities for the cons is the country's economy system is declining. This is because the countries bear medical costs and must also bear the cost of expenses for students facing problems who are in rural areas. For example, giving students affordable gadgets and data. Besides that, get a lot of complaints from teachers and parents. Among the things that are said is about uncontrolled learning children. Students do not do their work and focus from students are not given during online class. My next point is Malaysia has a record of low examination performance regardless of universities or school. It can also tarnish the image of the country as this matter is differs from the attitude and commitment of the individual himself. Next, this also makes us have to think in a short time how to upgrade the mainframe system in this country. We should think it properly and should not be in a hurry because this is very important to our country, Malaysia. That's all. Thanks a million.
Thank you to all the panelists that we present in giving an interesting field and debate in resolving the issue that are currently plaguing. I hope we can meet again in this panel discussion and be able to strengthen the relationship between us all. Goodbye. Third panelist is Muhammad Adli, who is a student at college.
Classroom. Thank you.
A few moments later.
Buat betul? Hah? Fokus.